We've looked at several ways of combining sentences. We'll look at another method today. This one is using relative pronouns to give more information about a noun. So let's look at some relative pronouns. The first one we'll use is the word that. Evaluation day is the exciting rite of passage that prepares you for a future of happiness, stability, and partnership. We can also use the word which with a comma. I was amazed and terrified by the winding, darkened streets, which smelled like garbage and old fish. Or we can use the word who if we're talking about a person. I think about the face of the girl who dropped from the laboratory roof all those years ago. Let's look at these in more detail. We use the relative pronoun that to restrict the noun that we're talking about when we're combining the two sentences. The first sentence says, evaluation day is the exciting rite of passage. Well, which exciting rite of passage? We're not talking about all of them. We're talking about a particular rite of passage. We're going to specify that evaluation day is the exciting rite of passage, which it prepares you for a future of happiness, stability, and partnership. So to add these two sentences together, we're going to use the word that. Evaluation day is the exciting rite of passage that prepares you for your future of happiness, stability, and partnership. This specifies which rite of passage we're talking about, so we'll use the word that. When we're talking about things, we might also choose to use the relative pronoun which with a comma. When we do this, we're adding more information about the thing we're talking about, not necessarily specifying which one we're talking about. So if we say, I was amazed and terrified by the winding, darkened streets. They smelled like garbage and old fish. We don't need to specify which winding, darkened streets. We're just adding more details about what those streets are like. That is, we're talking about how they smelled. So when we add them together, we'll use a comma and which to add the details. I was amazed and terrified by the winding, darkened streets, comma, which smelled like garbage and old fish. When we're talking about people, we don't want to use the word that or which. That and which are only for things. When we're talking about people, we need the relative pronoun who. I think about the face of the girl, and she dropped from the laboratory roof all those years ago. To combine these, we need to use who. I think about the face of the girl who dropped from the laboratory roof all those years ago. When we use who without a comma, we're restricting which girl we're talking about. This time we're specifying we're talking about the girl who dropped from the laboratory roof. We're not adding more details about girls in general, but we're narrowing which girl we're talking about to one girl in particular. Here's a chart to help you remember the pronouns that you need. If you're talking about a thing, you can use either that or a comma and which. You should use that if you're specifying exactly which thing you're talking about, or you should use a comma with which to describe more about the thing you're talking about. When you're using a person, you'll only use the pronoun who. If you're specifying which person you're talking about, you do not need a comma. But if you're adding more details about a person, you're going to use a comma and then who in order to describe more about them.